Right corner, and of course an opportunity for Alex Ovechkin here. Carlson right side, back to Carly up top, steps into the slot, looks for the tip, Ovechkin scores! Alex Ovechkin scores on the tip along the left post! He is one closer here in Boston! It's his 38th goal of the season! Goal 891 and an ovation by all! Here in Boston, even Bruins fans are cheering! He needs 4 to pass Wayne Gretzky for the most in NHL history.
I know we've been talking about it for years, but I think last night in Boston was when this really started to get real. Alex Ovechkin, 4 goals away from passing Wayne Gretzky for the most all time. Welcome to this edition of the Rink Report. We are live on this game day from Raleigh, North Carolina. John Walton and Tarik El-Bashir. Rink Report brought to you by PenFed Credit Union. Great rates for everyone. Tarik, last night in Boston, I think about the time that the celebration, you saw the line down by the Capitals bench, and when everyone, not just Caps fans, but Bruins fans were cheering, you really start to feel the magnitude of what's happening here. Alex Ovechkin needing 4 goals in the final 8 games to be the greatest goal scorer of all time.
Yeah, John, that is something that really jumped out to me. I mean, the Boston Bruins fan base is incredibly loyal and they're fierce. It's a hard place to play. They do not cheer for the opposing players except for Alex Ovechkin. And we heard that quite a bit last night. Besides the cheers when he scored the goal, I don't know if you heard this from your vantage point. When he would miss a shot on the power play, it was almost like it was a Bruin missing a power play shot. They were like, oh, because they all thought they were going to see another one. And then when he missed the empty netter with with 25 or 30 seconds to go, there was another collective groan from the Bruins faithful. So I think everyone in the sports world and especially in the hockey world is now coming to grips with this record is going down and it's going down soon. And folks are excited. They want to see history.
Talked to Emily Kaplan last night from ESPN for our podcast, and it's going to be the same thing here tonight because with TNT on hand, along with Monumental, a lot of national eyes are looking at this. So now you've got the Kenny Albert and the A crew going for TNT. There's just this awe and excitement around it. And Gary Bettman's supposed to be here tonight and will be with us now for the duration. And by the time we get to the weekend, if there is even a single goal scored tonight, Wayne Gretzky is going to be in Washington, D.C. on Friday. And I say those words right, and I start to get chills a little bit because we know why he's coming. And we know that the moment is here and could happen with a hat trick. I mean, you get within 3. That's always been the benchmark that they've talked about. Nick Backstrom's going to be on hand. TJ Oshie's going to be around. These guys are going to start traveling. They're going to be at the Island on Sunday when we go see the Islanders at 12:30. All of these things happening. And all of a sudden, what has been an unbelievable Washington season to be atop the Eastern Conference and all the great things that are happening and getting ready for the playoffs. It's almost like the best, I don't want to call it a sideshow because it minimizes it, but it's the best sideshow ever and maybe in the history of the game that you have this wonderful team and this wonderful accomplishment dovetailing at the very end of a season that's Washington's 50th in the NHL. I mean, you can't script this stuff.
You can't. And John, spoiler alert, Alex Ovechkin lights up the Hurricanes. He lights them up at home in D.C., and he really, really lights them up here in Raleigh. I mean, he scores so many goals against those guys, and even the 2 Canes goalies no morning skate. So I guess maybe they are, but we don't know who's going to be starting. But Freddie Anderson, poor Freddie Anderson, he's given up 9 OV goals on 12 shots, and Kochetkov hasn't been a whole lot better with four goals in 5 games. So I'm looking for Ovi to pop 1, maybe pop 2, and get a little breathing room. We can start, going, hey, maybe this will happen at home. But yeah, I mean, the entire sports world is really cheering on Ovi and really focused on him. I watch all the sports highlight shows, and they're starting to lead with Ovi now. Like this is a lead story. I don't know if they're going to start breaking in on Sports Center on when the Caps go on the power play, but they might. I mean, they might. I mean, like you said, Emily Kaplan, she was sitting right next to me in the Boston press box last night. I'm going to be helping out on the TNT broadcast. They brought in the A crew. They're picking up more games. I mean, this is a
You are the A
huge,
crew,
huge
so
deal.
yes.
No, I'm B crew, but I did get an email saying be ready for a potential Gary Bettman interview. So it's real. I mean, when Gary Bettman is doing interviews about a single player in the middle of a season, that just lets you know the magnitude of this. And one thing, John, I don't know the mechanics of this, but like if it does happen on the road, I mean, 4 is a lot to happen tonight. I know he's done it in the past, but if it were to happen on the road, are like visiting teams, I guess the NHL is ready for it, but are visiting teams ready with the red carpet and all that stuff? I know in DC we would be. I'm just kind of curious to know how that would unfold if it did happen in, say, Columbus or on the island.
The game will stop. We know that, and I would imagine the NHL, once you get within 3, is going to have that. If you got 4 tonight, Carolina will have to make it up, I guess, as they go along. But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of prep. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance that goes into this. We talk about the story of Alex and the Capitals season, and all of it happening in the 50th anniversary season here, and coming down the stretch into the final days before the Stanley Cup playoffs. What an unbelievable backdrop that is for Ryan Leonard to make his NHL debut last night. A little bit more than 14 minutes time on ice. He ended up a +1. He ended up with 3 hits. And in talking with not only Spencer Carberry after the game, but Dylan Strome talked about this as well. Everybody's so impressed with what he was able to do without a preseason game in his career, going from the college game to the NHL, is about as hard a thing as you can probably do. And to do it in front of your teammates from Boston College, your friends, your family, the city you grew up in, essentially, the rink you went to as a kid watching the Bruins, that's another pretty good storybook story.
John, my favorite part of probably the entire day was watching his BC teammates all along the glass with their Leonard jerseys turned around so you could see the name and number. Cheering for him during warmups, and right after he did his rookie lap, he went and picked up a puck with a stick and he threw it to his teammates / fans who were going berserk on the other side of the glass. I thought that was so cool. And John, the thing that impressed me, I mean, I'll be honest, I watched last night's game from the press box a little differently than I watch other games. I focused on number 8 and number 9. Like, if anything else happened, I did notice the McElrath VL fight. But other than that, I only watched those 2 guys. And the thing that really impressed me about Leonard was he's got a lot of detail in his game already. You think about that Dylan Strome goal, 2 really handsy, heads up, mature puck retrievals that kept the play alive, kept the Caps in the zone, and really set up that goal. And then there was one play, and I want to say it was in the first period, where he pinched off a guy along the wall, and he took the right angle. This was in the NHL, God, everyone's so much bigger and faster, and sometimes when you see those young guys make that leap, they take bad angles because they don't realize how much faster everyone is up here. But he was right on it, pinched off the play, caused a turnover, was credited with the hit, and like I said, turned the puck over, and it went the other way, and the Caps had another chance. So he's already got some detail in his game, and the 3 hits. I mean, one of them. VL had a pretty rough night. I mean, not only did he get tuned up by McElrath, he also got blown up by Leonard. I mean, that's a big part of his game. I I always hesitate to compare young players to what they might be at some point in the NHL, but I'll be honest, man, after watching one game of Ryan Leonard, you know what it reminded me of? TJ Oshie.
A lot of Oshie there for sure, and a lot of swagger. Good to see Ryan Leonard get after last night. Let's hear from Chris Patrick. Last night before the game, he spoke about Ryan Leonard and the moment that was at TD Garden. The making here tonight here in Boston.
Yeah, really excited. It should be fun to watch. It's always fun seeing a guy get his first NHL game, and obviously been a lot of expectation with Ryan the last couple of years, so it'll be fun game for us tonight.
You're obviously a fan of this team, too. You grew up as a fan of this team. Can you recall anything between Ovechkin's debut 20 years ago and this one in terms of high anticipation?
Yeah, we were talking about that today with the coaches. Actually, Brett Leonard had a good stat. I think this is, since Carl Altner, this is the highest pick we've had debuting for us of our own picks. So it's been a long time. And, I think, a long time since we've had this kind of anticipation for a guy for his debut with us. So it'll be fun.
Starting him in the top 6 tonight. What does it say about Ryan that at 20 years old he's given that kind of opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I think Spence is trying to find, a good match of line mates for him. You want guys that are going to help him through the game, talk to him during the game, and Dylan's really good at that. And obviously, Alexei is a really solid winger and can help cover out there if you're in the wrong spot at the wrong time. So just trying to put him with guys that are going to help him through the game.
I guess this is ultimately up to Spencer, but do you anticipate him playing regularly down in the last 9 games here? How do you see it going with him?
Yeah, we'll see what tonight holds, and then Spencer will make the calls from there.
As far as the last 9 games, it's a nice little bit of runway that maybe you weren't going to have. How much of a luxury is it to be able to have these 9 games to maybe try them with a couple of different things?
Yeah, I mean, I think not just him, but the rest of the team too. I mean, we've got some guys that haven't played a lot. Maybe we get some opportunities to get guys in down the stretch here. We can manage minutes a little bit. And still try to get the team working towards, getting to that next level for game 1 of the playoffs.
What does it say about his skill set that you guys are willing to burn that first year of his deal to see what could be anywhere from 9 to who knows how many games here?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you watch him play through college, internationally, he looks like a guy that can come in and play right now at the NHL level, and so it's definitely worth whatever risk there might be of burning that year to have him here and available to us, both for the regular season and the playoffs.
You were pretty much anticipating this happening, but until he signed yesterday, were you pretty confident he was going to be here today?
I mean, I felt fairly confident. I guess probably from about halfway through the season that this was going to be a decision point for him. We just want to make sure we gave him the space to finish his college season and not put too much pressure on him. But it felt like, from our discussions with his representation, that this was where it was heading. So felt good about it, and that's why at the trade deadline we made sure we left room for him to come in post deadline.
To get to see him make his debut in his home state with all of his college teammates coming, all his family, all of that.
Yeah, well, that's really cool for him, right? Like, that doesn't always happen for players. So. It'll be nice. He'll get a nice debut here, and then eventually he'll get his first game in Washington, so that'll be another kind of new thing for him. So, very special for him. I'm sure it's going to be a really, really special night.
Great stuff from Chris Patrick last night on Ryan Leonard, that before the game as the Caps beat Boston last night. But the thing that it was just touched on a little bit there, not just for Ryan Leonard, but getting other guys into the lineup. No Matt Roy last night as he's away for family reasons. So Dylan McElrath getting into the game. We might see Alex Alexeyev here tonight in Raleigh. We'll see how that goes. We're trying to get these guys a little bit of time in the last 9 games. And Chris Patrick saying what a luxury that is. But Dylan McElrath, who had not played a game since December 2013, he made the most of his time last night.
He certainly did, and what a heavyweight bout this was. I mean, look, I'm not a big fan of staged fighting. That said, when you got two 230-pound guys going at it, and you can tell they had some history from the AHL because there was a little anger in those haymakers. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, and it's funny. I bumped into Mac on the way out of the building last night. He didn't have a scratch on him. I'm not sure you can say the same thing about VL. I'm sure he had some scratches on him, but Mac looked like normal Mac in his suit, ready to go. Not a single scratch on his face. So look, those are the kind of fights that make the highlight reels, and they get your teammates fired up and dialed in. I'm not saying it turned the game in the Caps' favor, but it didn't help. It didn't hurt. I think it gave them some energy and some life.
Yeah, and to be able to have a guy on the roster that's beloved from Ovechkin and Wilson on down. No, he doesn't play a whole lot, but in the playoffs, look at what he did last year against the Rangers. Alex Alexeyev, same thing. He got in against the Rangers. He's got some playoff experience. Even though he doesn't have a lot of games this year, the Caps have been very fortunate in terms of their defensive health. They won 60 straight games with the same 6 in there. But to be able to get those guys in down the stretch, hopefully Alexeyev in here in the back half of a 2-2 You've got a lead. You're up 11 points. You're going to win the Metropolitan
Right.
Division. If you win tonight, the magic number's down to 4. You're going to take care of business down the stretch here. You've got a lot of teams that aren't even in the playoff hunt right now. But all of that said, you're going to be able to do some tinkering, mixing, and matching. And back to Ryan Leonard, yeah, you had a pretty good set for him last night and starting out with Protas and Strome. But if you want to try other things, Steve, because BC went out when they did, bad for the Eagles, but honestly, not bad for the Caps because you've got this runway here to be able to experiment.
Yeah, you absolutely do, and I do hope Alexiev gets in. You know, he had that little bit of a run there in Hershey when he went down on a conditioning stint and put up great numbers. But still, the AHL isn't the NHL. It'd be nice to get him some reps under duress and under NHL speed and pressure. But yeah, getting back to Ryan Leonard, I think having this luxury of all these games is important, and having practices too. I mean, I think part of the reason why you couldn't throw him out there on power play 2 yesterday is because he hasn't practiced. I mean, he was out there for the morning skate, but not everyone skated. I mean, that was probably 2/3 of his teammates. And good on Ryan for just figuring it out. But I feel like, especially those first 2 or 3 shifts, you could tell on controlled breakouts, Ryan was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Where am I supposed to be? And then you could see he just went, forget it. I'm just going to play hard and blow this guy up over here. But once he gets some practice reps in, and it's not going to be a lot of practice here down the stretch, but there's going to be some. He'll be able to get out there and get some comfort level with his line, and who knows if he's going to stay on that second line, but maybe he will. But more importantly, he'll get some reps potentially on PP2. So I think, like you said, bad for BC. I'm sure he's really disappointed that he went back another year to hopefully win a championship at the NCAA level. Didn't happen, but good for the Caps and good for him going into the playoffs. That he's going to have some opportunity to get some cohesiveness and chemistry with a line and just kind of get a feel for systems. I mean, I can't imagine they bogged him down too much with systems talk yesterday. It probably was. Hey, you've been playing this since you were 4 years old. Just go out there and skate around like a wild man like you are, and just figure it out on the fly. But now it's going to be okay. Well, Ryan, here we needed you here, and here we need you there. You know what I mean? So having some time, I think 4 weeks is going to be good for him. 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, the practice schedule, you don't have anything here today prior to the game. It's an off day tomorrow. You will see the whole team Friday morning before Chicago, and then Saturday before heading to the island. So start to get a little time, but there's not a whole lot. Things that are bad for BC are usually good in Boston for Boston University. And BU, the Terriers, are going to the Frozen Four, and they're pretty pumped about
Sure
that.
are.
And Cole Hudson, drafted by the Capitals, freshman year at BU. And T, you and I last night had a chance to catch up with him. He was in the press box, and we'll have that interview here in a second. But what a great opportunity just for us to be able to have a few minutes with a guy who his brother's ripping it up right now. The Montreal Canadiens is in a lot of Calder Trophy discussion. His brother is the same kind of player. What a great pick by the Capitals in this past June's draft. And you and I talking with him last night, and really excited to see what he can do in the Frozen Four.
John, he's one of the picks that the Capitals have made here the past couple of years that has really transformed their prospect pool. The Athletic, my former employer, had the Caps prospect pool ranked, I believe, 20th last year. Now it's 9th. And a big reason for that, Ryan Leonard was already in the system, but a big reason for that was Cole Hudson. And I don't know what's going to happen here, but I would imagine he would follow the footsteps of his brother Lane and go back and play one more year and then come in a little bigger, a little stronger, a little heavier, a little more mature. But he's having such a great season at BU. Who knows? I mean, again, you look at the way the Caps defense is structured. Everyone is pretty much signed through next year. But I mean, if he goes out there and he's insane these next 2 games and leads BU to a national title, and he does what he did with the World Juniors. I mean, do you make a spot for him? I don't want to put any limits on this guy. He's had an amazing year, a freshman year at BU. I do feel like the Caps philosophy though, and you know this as well as I do, is to overcook prospects. Make sure they are ready. You don't want to rush anyone in. And right now, because you're so good and you've got everyone under contract for next year, you don't need to rush anyone in. But I mean, again, if he has a great last two games here and has a title and puts up a lot of points and looks great, maybe you make a space for him. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but he is an exciting player, and you put him with Little Protus, and you put him with Miroshnichenko, who still haven't figured out where he's going to fit, but he's an NHL player at some point. And then Matejko. I mean, like, the Caps prospect pool is really, really deep. You and I and most people around this team just a couple of years ago were like, man, when Ovi's gone, it's going to be a long, cold winter. It could be a few years of retooling. And no, not so much. I mean, the Patrick and company turned over the roster this past offseason and got them pointed in the right direction for the here and now. And the amateur scouting staff has them set up on the backside of this for years to come after that. I mean, if you're a Caps fan, you are really, really lucky. You're seeing Ovi chase down history, and you've got a team that's really good now and should be really good for a number of years to come.
Yeah, championships matter, and for a guy like say Protus or Connor McMichael and Hershey, or whether it be an NCAA championship, hopefully he's got that on a resume, gets him ready to play in the NHL. Last night in Boston, T and I had a chance to catch up with Boston University Terrier standouts Cole Hudson.
Well, Cole, it's great to be talking with you here in Boston. An exciting time for the Terriers and Boston University going to the Frozen Four. How excited are you to be heading to St. Louis?
Yeah, super excited. We got a chance to play a team that BU's never faced in their history, so no better time to do it than the Frozen Four.
So Ryan Leonard, a guy you know pretty well, you played with him, you played against him, he's making his NHL debut out here. What stands out to you about his game?
Yeah, just a physical presence. Not the biggest guy out there, but he's not afraid to play a physical game, and he had a big hit.
Big open ice hit, yeah.
And you'll know he's out there for sure.
As this tournament goes on for you here, this has been a sensational freshman year for you at BU. How much have you enjoyed your first season playing for the Terriers?
Yeah, I mean, it's a blast. Everything I could ever imagine. Got a chance to win a national championship, so hopefully we can pull through with that.
So your older brother's lighting it up in Montreal. I think he got his 60th point tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anyone's surprised, but I mean, how excited are you for him this season he's having?
Yeah, obviously super excited.
Yeah.
We expected it, but obviously not to that extent. He's setting records, creating history, and to do that as a guy as small as him, it's pretty cool to watch.
It's awesome. No, it's been a lot of fun watching you this year. And do you feel that support from the D.C. area? We've been following along with your season. I know a lot of fans have been talking about you, and it's not just the folks here in Massachusetts, but there's a lot of people in D.C. who are going to be pulling for you too. Got to be a little excited that the big club's watching you, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's definitely, I notice it for sure. Lots of Washington fans in Boston, and a bunch of classmates that love the Capitals. So get to talk to them about it every day. And yeah, I'm super excited.
So Ovi just scored 891 out there. How cool is it to be in the building for what could be some history?
Yeah, super cool. I think he needs 4 more to tie it, and I'm not sure it's possible in just one period, but you never know with him.
You never know, indeed. Well, we are squarely at this point. Go Terriers. Have a great time in St. Louis. We're hoping you are able to win a national championship. Enjoy the experience. Soak it up, Cole. Thanks so much for joining us here in Boston. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Cole.
Thank you.
Yeah, really neat last night to be able to talk with Cole Hudson. And good luck to Boston University as they get moving forward here. Back to the task at hand as we are in Raleighwood, as they say. The Caps and the Canes tonight at Lenovo Center. And Carolina's playing great. 11-3 T. That's what they were in March. They haven't been able to gain any ground on the Capitals because the Caps have barely lost either. They are 11 points back. Jordan Staal not expected to go tonight, but they have a lot of guys in their top 6 that are dangerous. Jackson Blake coming off a 3-point game over the weekend. One of their prospects who's shown very well. They have speed. There's a lot going on for them that's good. and they have all but locked up second place in home ice in the first round themselves. It's going to be the Hurricanes and Devils in round one. They're kind of experimenting too on what they want to do. They know they're in. They know who they're going to see. Probably have a better idea who they're going to see more than the Capitals do at this point. But a good team tonight in Carolina.
Yeah, I think that's important for the Capitals to not only face also Rans here down the stretch. They need to be challenged a little bit, and they got a couple games against the Canes, and that's good. Canes are 8-2 in their last 10, I believe 12-3 in their last 15. They're not giving up a whole lot. Freddie Anderson's been really good. All of their top players are producing right now. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really good game tonight. But again, getting back to what we led the show with, Ovi lights these guys up. So, with an 11-point lead for the Capitals in the division, I hope they just pass the puck to Ovi. Just keep passing the puck to him.
And really like what we saw with Ryan Leonard on his line last night, but Connor McMichael too. And I asked Spencer Carberry after the game about playing alongside Nick Dowd, and Spencer didn't like the second period last night, was pretty adamant about that, but loved the start. And Connor McMichael was a big part of that down especially in the first period. But I think that's where he starts again here tonight.
Yeah, he was getting double shifted at one point. I was like, his 24 back out there. He was having a good game. I think message was sent and message delivered and accepted. Challenge accepted. So yeah, good on him for doing that. John, before we say goodbye, I wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Actually, you're so loud, I think I can hear you. You're like 4 or 5 doors down from me. But happy birthday. And I
Thank
think
you.
if I got this straight, 35? 36?
Yeah, you're right on it. You nailed it. Yeah. You're very astute. I appreciate that. That's the same number of McElrath and Green from back in the day. So it's getting a little scary.
Cool, man. Well, happy birthday.
Appreciate that very much. Nothing would be better than a Caps W and maybe a couple of goals from number 8 tonight. You can see it on Monumental Sports Network tonight. And we got you covered on the radio side, too, on the Capitals Radio Network. For Tarik, I'm John. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Rink Report, brought to you by PenFed Credit Union. Great rates for everyone.